Lewis, thanks for chatting with us. Your 87th win last weekend. That's got to be one of the most bizarre finishes of your whole racing career, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, I got a terrible memory, so I don't remember all the races I did. I did have one that I had a suspension break on the rear when I was in Formula Renault, but I think otherwise, yes. Actually, no, well, not bizarre, but I had a really good race when I was I must have been 10, 11, at Buckmore Park, and I overtook I was fourth till halfway through the last lap, and overtook everyone in one corner. It was awesome. So, so I remember good things, that's for sure.
But in the week between the last one and this one, I listened back to the team radio, which we now get, and I was amazed at how chilled you seemed in the car and how calm Bono was. Was that reassuring? You know, he was just sort of, right, Lewis, no problem, diff mid-12 and do this. It just seemed completely calm.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's, me and Bono have been working together for, this is our 8th year, so we understand each other more than ever. The respect, of course, is higher than ever, and that belief in each other, I think, also is at its highest that it could possibly be, and we know what makes each other tick, and what works for each other, so we don't step on each other's toes. We know when it's right to speak to each other, etc. So, yeah, and ultimately he knows how important his voice is in how he delivers, when he delivers. If he delivers in a panic, then probably I'll potentially start to panic, who knows, but I'm grateful for that, and that's really why it's the best engineering driver matchup, I think, that I've been around and experienced.
Yeah. I remember being in the collection area, the GP2 race, putting my helmet on in 2007, and I heard this roar like I've never experienced, and you crossed the line to get pole that year, your first British Grand Prix. And I mean, over the years, a bit like Nigel Mansell, you seem to take energy from the crowd, I think. Has it been weird not having them here, not being able to do your crowd surfing and celebrate with them?
It has. I mean, I spoke about it all week last week. I mean, yeah, it's like a deflating kind of vibe and energy that you come into the track. It's like a filming test day kind of thing that you have, which is never particularly very much fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, when you in the past, when I'd get out, stand on the top of the car, I could see the crowd, and I'm like connecting with people that are wearing the caps, wearing the flags, and you can see their energy. Even when you're driving, you can see. Like, I really will never ever forget, like 2008, I would have come through. I don't know if you remember that race in the rain, but Abbey, everyone was aquaplaning off into the gravel. So every time I made it through, I could see the guys stand up in the rain, And then there's, other years, I always forget what's past after Brooklyn. Luffield. So as you come around Luffield, that's what, it's a really long corner. You have a moment to be able to look and see the crowd beyond. Yeah. And the guys are always so supportive. So, not seeing that this time, definitely you feel a little bit alone out there. But I know the guys are everyone's watching and supporting and so I'm trying to stay elevated whilst not having the elevation from them.
I haven't had a chance to speak with you this year, and I really want to thank you, actually, because as someone a bit like yourself, with the minority of non-white people who work in F1, and I remember coming from India to race in Formula 3, you go to Pembrey or Croft, and I'm the only non-white person on the grid. And I never took a moment to sit back and think about it and think about what people had said to me or what had happened to me or things people had said to my dad walking on the street and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think seeing your social media posts during lockdown when the movement was gathering steam made me take stock of life and actually made me read more about things that we've seen happening in the rest of the world. Stories like Muhammad Ali coming back for winning a gold medal and not being allowed into a restaurant in the US because of the color of his skin is extraordinary. And I read so much and learned so much about it. Do you feel that recently, there's been so much talk about drivers taking the knee, not taking the knee. It's an important symbolism, but it's symbolism. Do you feel now we need to start moving the conversation towards tangible things in the sport, beyond just the headline symbols and signs?
Well, firstly, thank you. I think, and I praise you for you using your voice, because you do have a voice. And I think, look, we're all learning during this time. I'm I've been learning also. I've been doing a lot of reading and about history, stuff that we weren't taught at school, and things that I was completely unaware of. So it's been probably the most educational year of my life. But what has definitely, like you, and I think so many people around the world that have been on the end of abuse, or subject to abuse, generally stay quiet. Someone around them perhaps doesn't stand up and say that's not cool. And I think some people probably feel uncomfortable. Those who are receiving abuse just take it. And I mean, I was always a fighter, so I was like, I'm getting the punch up, And
I guess I was the opposite. I was the passive one.
Really?
So,
yeah. So it always just boiled me so deeply. And I remember my dad, I was always in trouble. I was always at the headmaster's office because I would defend myself. And the headmaster, and again, I was at a school that was predominantly white, and and the headmaster would never understand or even empathize with what I just experienced. And so I had all this stuff built up, and that's what I've channeled into my driving my whole life. And as I get older, I realize, and I mean, particularly this year, I realize a part of the strength that I have is some of that difficult time that I experienced growing up. I channeled it into my driving. And my dad would always say, do your talking on the track.
Yeah.
So when I wanted to react, my dad held me back and said, do your talking on the track. And that wasn't easy. But I think today, and the whole experience has just brought up a lot of those old emotions. And I really feel and empathize for those out there from all different backgrounds that have experienced, felt like they couldn't say anything, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's at school, whether it's just hanging with your friends. And I just want to encourage people to speak out, even if it's not you that's on the receiving end, but you see it happen to someone, or someone's saying a sexist comment, you say, hey, that's not cool, and that's going to help people educate themselves more. And
you're right, because actually it's about the microaggressions, it's about the unconscious biases. I think that a lot of people, you just take it as it is what it is.
Yeah.
But actually you're right, it's about picking up on the smaller things which most of society, I guess, doesn't, right?
Yeah, and just starting a conversation about it, and I start talking to people that, I was talking to my stepdad, who's from Newcastle, and was one time had to kind of stand in the way of me being violently attacked by some people up there, and he didn't really understand it, and just bringing it up and starting a conversation about things that perhaps are uncomfortable. But yes, we are in a time where we can't just keep talking about it. We need to start putting things in place. And the thing is, it's not that easy to fix. It's
generational, isn't it?
It's generational.
But is that your legacy? The Hamilton Commission and trying to educate the next generation of kids? Because I want my son to be able to walk into this paddock and feel like he belongs.
Absolutely.
And not look around and see 97% don't look like him.
Yeah.
Do you think that's it for you? Is about legacy down the line?
I want the exact same thing. And I mean, what I love about kids, and I posted something this morning, and it was about kids with animals, but children don't see. I think there's a study, and I don't think it's till around 10 years old that kids start to see that difference in society through the pressures at school, and it's things that we're taught by our parents, And so if an adult today is like, it's not about me, it's about it's down to the youngsters today, it's actually incorrect. The parents, us, our older generation now need to educate ourselves, so then we can try to educate and pass it down to the kids. And I've had people call and say, my kids ask me, what is racism? And that would have come from a white person or even a black person, and how do I deal with that? And so again, it is about education. I think the government needs to do better with the curriculum, because a lot of these schools, I think, get to choose what their curriculum is, and you learn about a certain religion. You don't learn about all the religions. You don't have a diversity inclusion class to understand what is appropriate to say and what is not. And this week. So the one thing I'm really proud of with my team is we've obviously made the step with the statement with our car. This past couple of weeks, they've found a company that is doing a diversity inclusion training. So I went through that. I went and had session with them, and it was incredible because I'm open to learning, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not perfect, and so just learning what is right, what is, and I feel kind of the whole of society is just we're behind, and the things that you could say back, things that people were saying when I was at school about so many different races. You look back and you're like, oh my God, that was terrible back then.
Yeah.
But it is still evidently there today, and so how can we change it? I think as a sport we have this platform, we have people that tune in and watch, and yes, it's supposed to be an entertaining experience, but there's no reason why there can't be an element of it that is educating.
Absolutely.
And that's why I've gone home and watched the Grand Prix on the weekend, and I know you have like hours to take up, so some people are just talking for ages or playing remote control cars in the paddock, but you could actually be saying something and teaching people something, and it is about educating these kids. So yeah.
Let's go back to the racing. This morning your team has announced that Valtteri Bottas has re-signed for another year.
Yeah.
So
Stuck with him for another year.
Stuck with him for another year. Does that mean you're signed?
No.
Nearly got you. But no, I was going to say, you got Max is confirmed, Charles is confirmed, Fernando keeps rising and coming back like a phoenix from the ashes.
He's confirmed, right?
Confirmed at Renault.
Yeah.
So come on, when are we going to hear the dream team carries on, you and the whole thing?
I really want to. I'm sure Toto's getting it's probably a little bit anxious because I haven't been too forward with it, let's get it done now. I don't know, I'm just a very chilled individual, and I think particularly in a time where people are losing their jobs, I generally honestly feel a little bit awkward with sitting down and talking about numbers and talking about a new contract when there are people out there who are not eating. There are people out there that are starving, people out there who lost their jobs during this pandemic. So I don't know, I feel a little bit awkward with it. That's why I've kind of stepped back a little bit, and but of course I will do at some stage, but it's awkward. I'm like, how long can I leave it, until it's maybe a little bit more normal, things maybe get a little bit better. But I am absolutely 100% committed to my team. I'm loyal as ever, and I don't lie. So it's not like I'm communicating with someone else in the hope that someone else, I don't want to be anywhere else. I love what we are doing in terms of our competitiveness and that journey, but also this new journey that we have embraced. Everybody has embraced. You see the team taking the knee. You see the Formula E team embracing it too, and people in the team. I hope that we can be a beacon of light to hopefully this, to other teams, encouraging them that they could also be a part of this change. And it's not about the competition. It's actually about change for the future. And
we're celebrating 70 years of Formula One this weekend. Did you think you'd be sitting here being talked about as one of the greatest drivers in the history of this 70 years of the sport?
No. I really didn't. And honestly, me and my dad often texting or talking, and we often just sit and pinch ourselves and can you imagine that day we were experiencing something, or when we were racing or on our way from winning our championship in karting in 1995, when we dreamed of being here. I think we truly believed that we could get to Formula One. Of course, we didn't know whether it was going to happen, but I could never have said to you I was going to have 6 world titles and be fighting against someone I watched win all those titles record-wise. No, it's above and beyond that, and then even more so to be living in a moment where we're in a pandemic, and then we have the Black Lives Matter movement, and be seen as one of the many voices that out there that I didn't realize that when I get to 35 this would be my path or my journey, but I'm grateful for it, and I'm trying to do the best I can with it, and at the same time enjoying the driving, enjoying the competition. So
I gotta admit to you though, first time I saw you won't remember this, Brands Hatch 2003, you did a one-off race in the Formula 3 car with Manor Motorsport at the end of the season.
Brands Hatch when I crashed,
I followed you out the pit lane in qualifying, and it's the first time I watched another car and I thought, I can't do what he does. He's he's properly
No,
good.
you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
And then you ended up in the shunt in the race, which was
Oh, maybe I can't
big
do
white
what he
workout. That's two last things.
See, I never had that thought with anybody.
I know, but that's why
Like,
you are
I
on
was-
the edge of greatness.
I was
and I'm
watching
not.
like Fernando what race, and I was like, I'm sure I can beat him.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why you're there and I'm here. Listen, this weekend looks like we could have a bit of rain on Sunday, but you guys, based on qualifying we saw last week, you're a second ahead of the pack. It's got to be a two-horse race, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, firstly, before I answer that, I just want to say to you, like, don't underestimate how strong your voice is, right?
No, will do.
And I know you're talking about your family and that, but there are people listening, people watching, that, you know, each and every single one of us has a voice. And don't think that just because one has more followers than another, that it's more powerful than the other. You can do so much in
appreciate
supporting
that.
people. So,
Yeah.
in terms of the with the race, yeah, it's strange. I was not expecting us obviously to have the gap that we had in the last race, you know, in qualifying, but it was closer in the race at least. And I anticipate this weekend when it gets, you know, generally when it gets hotter and when we get the softer tires, it gets harder a little bit closer between us all. And if it's going to rain on Sunday again, but I think I always just try to stress to people, like, it's not our fault. Like, the guys are amazing. You know, like, it's no coincidence that we have the package we have, because communication is top level. There is no one with an ego banging heads. You know, we if we got an issue, we sit down and, hey, what's the problem? How do we move forwards? We're actually together, you know. So, and that's why I love working in the team. And it's amazing to be at a time. I remember when I was at McLaren, maybe I was too young to have been listened to at the time, but I think I still knew what I wanted from a car. But perhaps wasn't, you know, it was a fight to get things changed. I remember remember those side pods they used to have, that the Ferraris used to have, the wind mirrors on the side pods.
Yeah.
Back in like 2009, 10.
Yeah.
Though having those out there would reduce the drag by something like 0.2, or, you know, it was a lot, and it gave points. And I remember fighting the team. I was like, "Can you get this tested?" And they wouldn't get it done. I won the race in Valencia, and I was like, I called up the next morning and I was like, "Can you get this in the wind tunnel?" And they put it in the wind tunnel. It gave 3 points of downforce, and they had it on the next car. Here you don't have that. We discuss things and we get it done. And we realize it's all about performance, so we don't get in our own way. You know. So,
listen, you've got fantastic team partners with you along the way. Puma launching their new Speedcat Pro this weekend. Can you tell us about it?
Well, I feel really privileged to. These are like socks, you know. They're so light. I've been a part of the development process of the suit, and I mean the suits have got a little bit heavier this year for the regs, but with the boots, it was all about weight for so long, and so getting thinner and thinner and lighter and more comfortable. And I think Puma were, out of all the brands that I'd worked with, they were the leaders, or have become the leaders, because they just kept pushing. And I like to be with companies that are pushing the boundaries of performance, because I have definitely experienced brands that were happy where they were. Yeah. And so I separate from that. And I think that's generally the same with all our partners. They're forward-thinking, you know, all about evolving and progress. And we don't generally take on any partners that aren't of the same mind thinking of moving forwards and innovation. So, So our kids are going to get to have Uzis?
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I guess so.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm signing these.
A pair, yeah.
For I don't know who gets to have these, but I wouldn't wear them around in your daytime. They're not meant to be comfortable for walking around, but you can feel this. These are super thin on the bottom, so you can feel everything from the pedal. So
excellent. Listen, thank you very much for your time. Good luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.